Hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. We have an intriguing contest, an interesting contest at the weekend between Jack Catterall and Arnold Barboza Jr. And this is for an interim belt at super lightweight, the WBO interim belt. Do we need the belt? No, of course we don't. It's just an excuse to make it 12 rounds, which is fine by me. But nobody's going to be a world champion for winning this interim belt. Why have we got an interim? Why do we have interim title fights when there's already a champion? I don't know. Anyway, that's a video for another time. Let's talk about Catterall against Barboza Jr. If you're from the UK, you will know about Catterall. Good fighter, can be frustrating. 31 years old now, so he's knocking on a little bit, but still not as old as Barboza. We'll get to him in a minute. Southpaw, very awkward, very skillful, hits probably harder than his record suggests because he's only got 13 KOs in 30 wins. And obviously, I think his career, I wouldn't say it was defined by it, but he should really have been the undisputed super lightweight champion of the world because he beat Josh Taylor in 2 years ago now, 6th of February. 3 years ago, 6th of February 2022, wasn't it? We're in 2025 now. He beat him and he got robbed. A split decision loss. God only knows what, he and John Lewis and Victor Loughlin were looking at. I have no idea. John Lewis was downgraded from a star-class referee or whatever they call him now to a lesser rank and actually left the British Boxing Board of Control. I think he tried to sue him. And nothing happened to Loughlin, but that was, oh God, probably one of the worst decisions I've ever seen, and I've been watching boxing for 45 years or more. So, apart from that, his career sort of stuttered because he just wanted to get Taylor in the ring, and he kind of didn't do much. He had 2 fights in 2023 this was after he'd signed to Matchroom. He had Darragh Foley, which he won over 10 rounds. He beat Jorge Linares over 12. That was Linares' final fight. But they were really treading water fights. And then he fought he fought get it right in a minute. He fought Josh Taylor again, finally, and deservedly won a 12-round decision. And so you could say justice was done, but there were no belts on the line. And Catterall should be the undisputed super lightweight champ. Now, since then, he's fought Regis Prograis, who came in with 29 wins and 2 defeats, but looked a bit long in the tooth, frankly, as if the years and the fights had caught up with him. And Catterall was down in the 5th round of that fight. Prograis has got something left. He's not shot. But as he put it after the fight, 12 rounds is getting a bit tough to do. So he's in danger now, Prograis, if he does carry on, of slipping into that sort of gatekeeper mode, even though he's a former champ, a former belt holder anyway. But Catterall did have Prograis down twice in the 9th round, and that's what I mean. He hits harder than you perhaps think he does. So that's Catterall. And Catterall, when he was with Frank Warren, Queensbury, I mean, he beat Tyrone McKenna over 10. McKenna was previously undefeated. He beat Tyrone Nurse over 12. That was good. That was a British title fight. He beat Ahara Davies on points, which was an absolute stinker of a fight, terrible fight. So he's proved himself to be. He's gone through the ranks, British champ and so on, moved up, and he's a world-class fighter, no question about it. Now, Arnold Barboza Jr. is older than Catterall. He's 33 and he's an orthodox fighter, and he's undefeated, 31 wins, no draws, no defeats, but he's only got 11 KOs. So neither of these has got a big KO percentage. But again, you think he probably hits a little bit harder than his record suggests. Having said that, he's had a lot of distance fights. He was seen beating Jose Carlos Ramirez, a former, did he hold 2 of the belts at super lightweight? Lost to, his only previous defeat was to Josh Taylor for all the marbles. That was the undisputed fight. But Ramirez looked, I don't know whether it's lacking in ambition, maybe a bit old, maybe a bit of ring rust, probably all of the above. But he didn't really do himself justice, and he lost a 10-round decision that was competitive, but there was never any doubt that Barboza Jr. would win that fight as it was unfolding. You never thought he was in any trouble. But prior to that, he fought Sean McComb, and this was again a terrible decision. Sean McComb is 6'6", something like that, from Ireland, 32 years of age. He won that fight against Arnold Barboza Jr. It was in America at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and there's no doubt in my mind that Barboza Jr. lost that fight. McComb outboxed him, controlled the distance, controlled the pace of the fight. Barboza Jr. was coming forward, trying to put pressure on, but McComb was handling it. And this is called boxing, not fighting. And traditionally, it's not always, but sometimes been a bit of an American thing about you give points to the guy who's simply moving forward. It's got to be effective pressure. And although Barboza Jr. was, competitive, McComb won that fight as far as I could see. And some of the cards, one of them was like 98-92 to Barboza Jr. Terrible, terrible cards. Not as bad as the first Catterall Taylor fight. It wasn't quite that bad, but it was bloody bad. So, yeah, we've got two guys here who, in McComb and Catterall, who should have had decisions. But was it a bad day at the office for Barboza Jr.? Because even he will admit it wasn't a great performance. Especially when you consider that he beat Jose Pedraza. That was a good win. 10 rounds. And he's beaten other people. He beat Alex Salcedo way back in 2020, which is nearly 5 years ago now. Bloody old time flies. Salcedo was 30-1 at the time. And, he's got some very good wins. He beat Danielito Zorrilla, unanimous decision. He was previously undefeated. So it might be that the Sean McComb fight was an aberration, if you like, a bad day at the office, possibly. But we're putting these two together, and the obvious question is, how's the fight going to go? Or the obvious follow-up question is, who's going to win? But how do I see the fight going? Well, again, you've got a southpaw against an orthodox fighter. Catterall is what you might call a box fighter. He boxes conservatively, but is not... he's safety first, but at the same time, he's a counterpuncher, essentially. He's 5'7", which is not... it's not tall and it's not short for the weight, for the 140 weight. But so Barboza Jr., I think he's a couple of 2 or 3 inches taller. I think, though, Catterall with his craftiness, and he is a very crafty fighter, he's very high ring IQ. I think he will. I don't think he'll have to wait for Barboza to come forward. I think Barboza's style is to try and box his way in very quickly and then let his hands go. But he does, Barboza Jr., if he has a fault in with those tactics, it's that he follows you around a little bit too much. There isn't a great deal of variety as to the pressure. He's not overly quick in getting in there. Do you know what I mean? He's not like a David Benavidez, for example, who's always on top of you. His footwork, he holds his shape quite well, but his feet are a little bit slow, Barboza Jr. And Catterall, I think, will sort of eat that up. I think he'll be looking to counterpunch. He'll be looking to sting Barboza. As usual, you'll get Catterall probably in the first 3 rounds being quite sort of standoffish, a little bit, more than a little bit cautious, but very cautious. He'll probably have a look at Barboza, let Barboza come forward. At the same time, Barboza is going to I don't think he'll stop particularly fast. He'll try and suss out Catterall. You might see a bit of a battle of the jabs, but I think that's going to be won by Catterall, which will enable him to control the range. And I think as the fight unfolds, you'll see Barboza getting a little bit frustrated. He can't quite get as close to Catterall as he wants. He can't land more than 1 punch at a time. I think Catterall was flawed against Prograis. So he can have those little lapses, but then any fighter can. You can switch off for a second, and next thing you know, you're on the floor. And Barboza, like I say, he's not a one-punch hitter, but he hits probably harder than his 11 KO suggest. But I don't think Catterall will be around to get hit with more than 1 punch at a time, if you know what I mean. I think he's going to be using some very nice side-to-side movement. He's got good. Catterall is pretty good with his feet. He's quite underrated with his feet. He slips to the side very nice and pops you when you sort of like, where do you go? Where is he? No, stand still. If you're fighting Catterall, it's that sort of thing. I think both Taylor and Prograis in the recent fight found that to be the case. And when they're very different fighters, Catterall and McComb, but I just can't get past that performance against McComb. It may have been an off night, or just the style didn't suit Barboza. But I think, yeah, he did show up his limitations. But Catterall is a lot more, even though he fights off the back foot, he fights more aggressively than McComb. Again, I've said this in previous videos, you can fight aggressively off the back foot. Boxing on the back foot is not running. I mean, the amount of people who've confused the two is kind of a little bit frustrating when you speak to people. But yeah, I think I can see Catterall taking over the fight in the middle rounds. And probably after about 2/3 of the fight, 8 rounds, I think Catterall will be ahead. Now, Barboza will be told by his corner, you're losing the fight. You need to get your skates on, start throwing more punches, and he'll become more reckless. Catterall's got a good engine, so has Barboza. And I see probably the last 4 rounds, maybe Barboza will win that segment of the fight. But I think Catterall will have done enough work early middle rounds to probably win a points decision, 115, 113, 7-5, maybe a 6-4, 116, 112, that sort of range. So I am going for Jack Catterall to defeat Arnold Barboza Jr. on points. Unanimous or majority, probably might be a majority, but I think he'll win on points. I think this is, by the way, is at the Co-op Arena, Manchester, which apparently, I've not been there, is a really brilliant new venue, and boxing is going to play a major part. They're going to stage a lot of boxing matches there. Frank Warren stage 1 last weekend, and now we got another one already here. And this is on DAZN, by the way, if you're a subscriber to DAZN. It's promoted by Matchroom in conjunction with, who is Barboza's promoter? Is it Golden Boy? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm sure this is a Matchroom promotion anyway. Anyway, that is Jack Catterall versus Arnold Barboza Jr. Tell me who you think is going to win and why you think they're going to win. Tell me what you think of both fighters, how the styles match up. Leave all your comments below. I'm always interested to read them. Thank you for watching. Much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Much love to all of you. Thank you very, very much indeed. And bye for now.